Hi, Dr. Carlos Todd here, and welcome to another video where we talk about how to fight less, love more. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about why couples struggle to repair after a hurtful argument. So this is a big one because as a therapist and working with couples and individuals over the last 25 years, I've learned a few things. And one of those things is, how do you repair after a conflict? And repair can take all kinds of forms. We're going to talk about that in this particular video. In my opinion, repair is an art. It requires skill. The rupture is normal in any relationship because people have different perspectives, different ideas about how things should go. There are going to be ruptures. And because there are going to be ruptures, that's just a normal part of what happens. But the repair is the skill. So rupture is normal, but the repair is a skill. Rupture is inevitable, but repair is something that you can. One of the things that I talk about when I'm working with couples is that, well, first trying to understand their patterns, right? Some people can repair very quickly, within minutes, within hours, and then unfortunately, there's some people who are repairing. I mean, it's taking them weeks to repair, and that in itself becomes a major challenge for the relationship, because now you have this problem where they're not able to fully address an issue because each day that you don't have a conversation, what happens is that either person may be trying to do a repair thing, the other person doesn't see that repair as valid, and things escalate quietly sometimes, and a day passes, a week passes, 2 weeks pass, and the disconnection it deepens. As that disconnection deepens, the resentment deepens, and you have these issues propping up. And so it's important for people to learn how to repair, the skill to repair, and how to repair quickly. Understand that there's a whole concept around re-entry points, right? What I call re-entry points. Re-entry points are like the thing that you do. Do I say, hey, you want something to eat? You want to go out? Do you want to watch a show, right? It doesn't necessarily start with an apology. It may even start with a person coming in the room that you're in and making a decision, trying to make a decision about whether they're going to sit next to you or not. So is this something that's subtle, but it's something that it's an attempt to repair. And if you don't know those re-entry points, you may think in your mind that, or you may want the person to say, hey, I forgive you, give me a big hug, and their re-entry is, hey, right? And they're trying to gauge whether they can kind of go all the way or not based on your body language, but you're maintaining your own body language, your own hostile body language, because you're concerned about their body language, and the whole thing is just screwed up. So understanding re-entry points is something that is particularly significant. So let's talk about some of the ways that repairs fail. One of the ways that repairs fail is the infamous apology, no apology, right? The apology that says, I'm sorry you feel that way. I mean, this puts all the responsibility on the other person, right? You're taking very little responsibility for yourself, for your own actions, and that in itself is just kind of foul, right? It's important, I think, to really kind of think about how you respond in this situation, and to take responsibility for yourself. Own the impact. I am sorry that I hurt you, right? I am sorry that I caused this pain, even if your actions were innocent, because you're trying to build a bridge to have further conversation. I mean, you say, I'm sorry that you felt that way. What you're effectively doing is really causing the person, they're going to stay on their side of the fence because they don't feel as though you've really given a genuine and heartfelt apology. The other reason why apologies fail is because it's too soon. And there's an insidious part of this process that I think is important to understand. Sometimes an apology is really a form of control. And so I think it's important that you understand that sometimes a person is trying to apologize because they don't want to feel bad anymore. They don't want to feel that distance. It's not that they want the reconnection. It's not that they're sorry that they hurt you. It's that this distance and disconnection is too much for them. And so I think is useful to recognize that if a person comes and says, 5 minutes later, I'm sorry, and the other person is not ready, just let them be ready when they're ready, right? And be careful about the idea of apologizing because you just don't want to feel bad anymore, right? I think it's important to understand sometimes the person needs time to calm themselves down, to self-soothe, and to kind of get themselves in a much better place. And so your responsibility, yes, is to apologize, but to kind of give them space to do their thing. The other possibility is that you're defending without understanding. So you come back into the situation and you're saying things like, that's not what I meant to say, or you do that too, right? We've all done it. I certainly have done that. And at that point, the window slams shut, right? You're defending yourself. And you may be right, who knows? But the idea is that if you start the apology by, I didn't mean it that way, then that defensive of a position does not build a bridge. And you want to start out with the apology that I indicated earlier, so that you can begin the process of repair. What is the structure of a real repair? What does that look like? Repairs have a shape. First, you acknowledge what happened. In this situation, I did this, right? And then you take responsibility specifically for, I am sorry that I caused you to feel this way or that way. Not vague. I'm sorry you felt that way, or I'm sorry that this happened, right? You be very specific. You express a genuine understanding that the way how you handle the situation was not the best way. And then you reconnect. You talk it through. So that's based on taking responsibility specifically and expressing a genuine understanding of what happened. These repairs tend to fail largely because for many of us it's hard to take responsibility for ourselves, or there is some problem with safety in the relationship where that vulnerability it doesn't happen in the way that it should or could happen. And so I think it's important to recognize that safety has to be built in a relationship, and you don't necessarily have to see apology as a blanket opening all your boundaries, right? You can say, look, I apologize for my actions in this way, but still maintain a boundary and still express that this is a boundary for you, right? And so an apology does not have to be a zero-sum thing. Because you said, I'm sorry about this one thing, all the doors of your life experience, of all your vulnerabilities are somehow open. It's not. So an apology does not have to be zero-sum. It could be on a timeline. Look, I am sorry for this thing here. That's step 1 and 2. But there are all these other areas that you've decided that you want to keep the door closed. I'm sorry, and I feel comfortable hugging you, but I don't at this point feel comfortable kissing you, for example, right? Somehow it's a psychological boundary that is set up, and that's fine. That's okay. It's not, in my opinion, it's not an issue. But for some people, they see an apology as a wide open door, and it doesn't have to be. At the core of all of this is my fight plan, my program that I've developed over time, just based on my understanding of how things work. And so I want you to, in the link below, get a copy of my book, Fight Plan, and really get into it, right? Where we talk about the 5 things that I think are really important in structuring a plan for dealing with the inevitable conflicts that will occur. Something that you're going to have to refer back to again and again and again and again. The FIGHT, right? F for framework, how you think about conflict. I is for introspection. G is for ground rules. H is for healing and repair. And T is for transformation. How do you make change? So I'm going to leave that alone for today. And so I want to thank you for watching this video to the end, where we talk about how to fight less, love more. Click the link below for resources, and I'll see you in the next video.